Hiya! Welcome! Another day, another New Order collection update video. Part 11, is it? I said before, I've lost track. Obviously, this is going to be the last one of these, at least for this year. I don't want to say, oh, it's going to be the last one ever, because I've said that before, and it turns out not to be the case. Plenty of stuff here. Let's get cracking on with it, especially as I know these New Order update videos do tend to go on quite a while. My good friend Stevie over at his vinyl cupboard thinks that I should chop these up and have them as more manageable bite-sized installments, and you've got a good point, mate, but I do like a good full-length collection video when I'm watching other channels, certainly. So hopefully those who stick with me throughout this one and all the other New Order related videos I've done will enjoy it. Right then, got to start with the cassette, which I don't think I've shown in any New Order collection videos so far. I have got New Order on cassette, a couple of editions of Substance, and one of Low Life and Brotherhood. This is not New Order, and it's something that, with the text being so small, it being on a cassette, I need to put my glasses on to actually get into it. But it's by an artist on the Mute label. It was from Mute Bank, by the way, called Maps, electronic artist. And this album is called, if I can read it, Colours Remixed Time Loss, which I think is basically a remix version of a similarly titled album that he recorded, a proper studio album that came out shortly before this. The reason I've got this on cassette is that it only came out on cassette physically. There's no vinyl or CD edition of this, and I got it because there is a Stephen Morris remix or a Stephen Morris production on this. I will get this out of its cellophane actually, and then I might be able to tell you which track Stephen Morris features on. You will see a little clip of it in a moment. Hopefully you will anyway. I can't guarantee these things due to the YouTube copyright Gestapo, but we'll have a look at this cassette. So this wasn't very expensive, I think £6. I was gonna say it was reduced in price, but to be honest it might not have been. That might have been its original price anyway. And £6 is nothing these days really, is it, for an album? Come here. So that's the sleeve. There's the tape itself. It'll just be on standard ferric tape, I think. Ah yes, the Stephen Morris remix of Both Sides is the first track on side A. Other remixes on here include one from Certain Ratio actually. Plenty of people I haven't heard of, one or two whose names ring a bell, such as Barry Adamson and Simon Fisher Turner. Maps' real name is James Chapman, by the way. That'll be him there. It's got Stephen Morris, the New Order drummer, on this album. £6 on cassette, and I don't buy that many cassettes. I thought I'd give that one a go from Mute Bank. It's Maps. Next up, two purchases from Rare Vinyl, also known as EIL or S-Spirit online. A long-standing record seller, second-hand stuff mostly, although they do sell some new stuff. In fact, I did buy a brand new and sealed album from them, along with these two New Order related items, but I'll show you that in Records Roundup 78, which will be along on the channel by the end of the year, no doubt. The first thing to show you from Rare Vinyl relating to New Order today, though, is this single from Paul Haig, The Only Truth. Now, I did get a Paul Haig album that featured this on it from Vinyl on the Net a few months ago. Decent album, really enjoyed it actually. So I wasn't really looking for this single particularly because I've got this track numerous times. It features on one or two of the New Order / B Music compilations I've got. But when I saw that Rare Vinyl had this, and I wanted to add a third item to my basket there, because with it being a Black Friday offer, it was, if you buy 3, then you get 15% off your entire order. So, you know, whether I've saved any money is debatable, given that this was sort of an impulsive last-minute addition. But I did look for quite some time on the website to see if there's anything else that I might want, and this was the one thing that I thought, yeah, it fits the collection. Side A is The Only Truth, Side B is Ghost Rider. It says produced by Dojo B Music / ROL 84, so I think that might be whoever produced Ghost Rider, because I don't think that was produced by Donald Johnson and Bernard Sumner, but The Only Truth definitely was, and I like the track. It's a really good track on the Le Disque de Crépuscule label. Good stuff that from Paul Haig. Move on to the other item purchased from Rare Vinyl, and it's this picture disc. It's an interview disc. I think I've possibly overpaid for this. There's a few of these on Discogs. I mean, they're not official products by any stretch, but there is people selling them on Discogs Marketplace, and I think the price I paid for this was, even with a 15% discount, it was probably pushing 15, and I think, you know, I could have got it for at least under a tenner from somewhere on Discogs, but it doesn't matter. I've been seeing this for ages at Rare Vinyl, and it was catching my eye. An interview disc, can't really say anything about it other than it was an interview conducted with some or all, maybe, of the members of New Order in 1984. I think that's side A and that's side B. I don't know if side A and side B are identical. That can be the case sometimes with interviews. I can't remember what year it came out. It wasn't out in 84, this disc, but I think it was maybe late 80s or early 90s, certainly. So this probably isn't going to sound particularly good, because picture discs back in the day never really did. It's a nice display piece, if nothing else. You know, I'd probably swap out this outer sleeve here for something a bit newer and nicer. I will listen to it, because I listen to everything, but if it plays really awfully, then I might just display it somewhere if I can find the room. So an interview disc there from New Order. On now to a pickup from a site I'd never used before. This is actually a Record Store Day issue, and I've just realised I've still got my glasses on when I didn't really need them, although it does help me read small text, but I think I only really needed my bins on to look at that Maps tape. But this record, a Record Store Day issue from this year, the disc, or 2 discs, I think it's probably a double album this, yes it is. They originally featured in a box set from this band from a couple of years previous. It was like a 50th anniversary set, and the reason I got this, and it was from the LP Cafe in Watford, by the way. The reason I got this was it's got a track by Stephen Morris and Gabe Guernsey on it. It is an album that's credited to the German krautrock group Neu, and it is called, if I can remember, because I can't really see it, Tribute to Neu. That's it. So yeah, this album, or the 2 discs that now constitute a standalone album, were in the Neu 50 box set, and it got a standalone issue for this year's Record Store Day. This was on sale, had, I don't know, maybe a tenner off it, so the total price, including postage, was probably around £30, but I didn't think that was too bad. And once I realised that Stephen Morris featured on this, then I did want it for the New Order collection. So the track that Stephen and Gabe Guernsey are on is Hallo Gallo, and it's credited as their remix, but I think although the tracks are credited to Neu, it is really a tribute album rather than a remix album. Like, everything says it's by Neu, but it's a remix, but I don't think there's any Noi involvement. Noi's a group, I am familiar with them, at least by reputation. I may have heard some of their stuff somewhere in the distant past. Me listening to a lot of German acts, such as Rammstein, In Strict Confidence, Bushido, etc. I'm surprised Noi haven't really come up on my radar before now, really, but I'm certainly interested and intrigued to give this a go. I will get it open, actually, because I believe this is, well, I was going to say coloured vinyl, but I think it's technically clear vinyl, and you can't really call that colour, can you? So that'll be presumably LP1. Yes, it is clear vinyl. Very crystal clear, that, particularly the run-out groove. Very nice indeed. So if there's any Noi fans, and I'm sure there will be in the vinyl community, I think they're one of those bands who sort of were prominent, at least in kind of more avant-garde and alternative circles in the 1970s. Let me know if you've got any more Noi recommendations. This is probably a weird way to start listening to them, really, given it's not technically them, it's other artists covering them, even though they are classed as remixers. But anyway, featuring Stephen Morris and Gabe Guernsey, a tribute to Noi. Next item is a 12-inch single from Bandcamp, and it's the Bandcamp store for the Brighton, I think they're based, electronic group Fujiya and Miyagi, and this is Daggers and also Little Stabs at Happiness. And as you can see, Daggers is remixed by Stephen Morris, so Stephen being rather heavily featured here so far in this New Order update video. I think I've got this track on the New Order Presents B Music album, so this is sort of doubling up really, but I saw that it was available and it wasn't too bad a price, including postage, direct from the group themselves. It was under £20 from Bandcamp. As you can see, I had a nice little post-it note there from David, who I believe is the lead vocalist in Fujiya and Miyagi. I am familiar with the track and it's pretty good without it blowing me away. Just another one for the collection really, which is what I can say about pretty much all of this stuff. Now, I think everything else now, and there's still a fair bit to go through, but everything else now is from Discogs. So, first to show you is 3 7-inch singles. This one is Sink or Swim by Bad Lieutenant, or me being British, so I really pronounce that as Bad Lieutenant. I'll say Bad Lieutenant because that's what the film's called and everyone knows it as that. But Bad Lieutenant, for those who don't know, were kind of New Order while New Order was split up. So New Order sort of split up, although one party, namely Peter Hook, said they were over. Another party, namely Bernard Sumner, said they weren't over, they were just taking a break. In 2007, I think, all that kerfuffle came out. And in the interim, Bernard Sumner formed Bad Lieutenant with, it would have been Phil Cunningham, who had been a member of New Order for a few years at that point, Tom Chapman, who would become New Order's bassist, the replacement for Hooky, and Jake Evans as well. And Stephen Morris wasn't an official member of Bad Lieutenant, but he did play, I don't know if he played on Sink or Swim, but he features on the album Never Cry Another Tear. I'd really like the album on vinyl. I've had it on CD for years. It's not brilliant, you know, as far as Bernard-based stuff goes. It's a little bit weak sauce, really, compared to, say, Electronic and even a lot of his production work. But, you know, it's pleasant enough, it's listenable. The album on vinyl is bloody expensive. There's a few different options regarding buying it, but they're all pricey. So I either need to get really lucky somehow one day in order to get that on vinyl, or just take the plunge and spend a ridiculous amount of money. So Sink or Swim is the track on side A, obviously, and the track on side B I can't see because I've taken my glasses off. Told you I'd need to put them back on. The track on side 2 is Dynamo. Not a lot of money from a Discog seller somewhere in this country. I think this is the only physical Bad Lieutenant single that's out as well. I could be wrong on that. I will double check and triple check and quadruple check, because I always do. I'm always scared of missing out on something. I get some real FOMO from doing these New Order hole fillers, really. But that is Bad Lieutenant, the sort of interim Bernard Sumner project in between New Order splitting up and then New Order reforming a few years later.
What you doing with that stupid little girl? Stop you fooling. Don't you know it's gonna hurt when she leaves you? And you gave all you could get. You'll be hurting. One you should beware. How are you gonna deal with this? How many times before you slip you made a wager with a kiss? Now you're the new name on her lips. This is the real thing at your door. Big waves breaking on the shore. And how you gonna sink or swim? Hold on tight, don't fall in.
It's that time in this series where we look at some more Stockholm Monsters, yes. And I'm pleased to say I have pretty much, well, more than pretty much, I've completed my Stockholm Monsters collection here today. The only Stockholm Monsters record that I'm now missing, and I'm not sure I'm going to bother getting it, even though it's pretty cheap, is like an EP that came out at the very tail end of their career. It may have even come out after they'd officially split up, and it was an Italian release, I think. And I don't think there's any New Order involvement on it. Pete Hook would have been the guy who produced all the Stockholm Monster stuff for Factory, such as this one here, Fairy Tales. I think this was a relatively pricey 7-inch. This was maybe around £20, possibly a bit over with postage. Really nice condition copy, this. The B-side is Death is Slowly Coming. Actually, Fairy Tales is a Martin Hannett production, but the B-side is produced by B Music, aka Peter Hook, so it qualifies for my collection just by way of the B-side. Nice centre label there, the Stockholm Monsters logo. That's Fairy Tales. But also, the final 7-inch single that I needed from Stockholm Monsters was this one, Happy Ever After. I think there again, similarly high price for a 7-inch, but it was either pay what they were asking or go without. And I don't want to go without. Come on. I want it all, as that guy in that band Queen once said. So Happy Ever After. I do like the sleeve for this because it opens out like a greetings card, which is obviously a deliberate sort of marketing thing from factory. What is the B-side on this? I think it's Soft Bodies is side B. Be a bit careful with this because when I took this out to look at it when it came in the post, for some reason I had trouble slipping it back in.
That's what she said.
Nice unique design there for Happy Ever After by Stockholm Monsters.
Everything inside says I'm in love with you. What you say you're happy, now I'm gone. She wasn't over trees and she wasn't over food. And then when I tell her, she said she's no use. I don't think she's happy anyway. I don't understand. Getting mad right to take you by the hand. I never knew, I guess I never will. I love you
The One Stockholm Monsters studio album. All the singles, 7 and 12-inch, that I've been collecting from them over the past few months, but the album had eluded me, but not anymore. This was surprisingly rare, and there was a few international sellers, but managed to get it from a UK seller for around 20, so probably about the same price as I paid for those singles, really. This is Alma Mater, or Alma Mater, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I think that's the original inner sleeve. Looks, it's got the Fact LXXX stamp there. Yes, Alma Mater. Overall production, B Music, so Peter Hook. Just really happy that I've got the album, and also none of the singles feature on the album, so it's all stuff that I've not heard before. Well, there might be one or two that feature on compilations I've got, possibly, but generally it's stuff that I don't already own. So Alma Mater by the Stockholm Monsters completes my Monsters collection, and I'm very glad about it. Next up is a single from another electronic act, and I was completely unfamiliar with this lady, this lone lady to be precise. Now, this is Former Things Reformed. I think Former Things was an album she'd put out, and then this is sort of like a remix EP. I suppose a little along the lines of the Maps album earlier. That was a remix version of an earlier studio album. But the reason I wanted this is that track A1 is There Is No Logic, and it's the Other Two remix. So Steve and Gillian, the other two, together again. Not that they were ever parted, you know, as in the marital sense, certainly, but in a musical sense, together again under the Other Two umbrella. There's other tracks on here that I'll listen to, obviously, and hopefully I'll enjoy, but I'm not as interested in them because they've got nothing to do with anyone out of New Order. I've got a feeling this might actually be coloured vinyl, so let's get it out, shall we, for a little look. Once again, it's all blind buys here, really. Not much of this I've ever heard before. This has come with, I think that's a download card, without me putting my glasses on. If anyone can see a code or anything there, then please use it if you wish. And the 12-inch single is on sort of a pretty translucent yellow vinyl there. Oh, that does look orange on camera, doesn't it? It might be classed as orange, actually, but me sat behind it like this, it's yellow. So, yellow or orange, you decide. Me sat here, it's yellow, but I can see on screen it is more orange. But it's a nice, attractive disc, regardless. So that is Lone Lady with the Former Things Reformed 12-inch EP.
How did it come to pass? Thinking know it all, but it goes so fast. There will be no gold, no silver. The dirt is the only winner. Everybody knows it. Do you know what's going on? What's with the confidence? You don't even know we're all enemies. Without reason or escape, I can see you're afraid, but you don't know it. But you don't know it. There is no logic. There is no logic. There is that logic. There is that logic.
Now then, this next one's still from Discogs, but this one was imported from Japan because basically that was the only place I was able to get it. And it's from a group, there again, in the electronic genre. I think they've been going in Japan for quite some time and they're pretty big over there. But I had to have it when I saw that this was in the New Order / B Music canon because it's by Denki Groove and it's Falling Down, the Other Two remix. Seller separated it out. So the price of this, it coming from Japan, it wasn't outrageously bad actually. I think, you know, it was well over 30, but given that there's taxes and postage from Japan to this country involved, I don't actually think that was too bad. Oh, now the hype sticker is on this rather thin outer protective sleeve there. I don't know if the previous owner had done that. Side A, Falling Down, Other Two remix, and Side B, Falling Down, Other Two groove mix. So 2 mixes from Steve and Gillian on here. Don't know anything else about Denki Groove other than that they're a Japanese act and they seem to have been going for quite some years with a fair amount of success. Ah, I've just noticed that. I didn't notice that before, but says on the bottom of the back sleeve there, remixed by Stephen and Gillian from the Other Two and New Order. So it'd probably look better if they'd put that information somehow on the hype sticker on the front, but it's quite prominent on the back there. As for the hype, it's, well, obviously got some Japanese text on it, and then it says what it is in English as well. Lovely stuff from James Seller. I'll show you this one first because I'm a little more excited about the second item, even though it looks really boring. But I'll show you this one first. It's an album by the Charlatans, Different Days. I think this is their most recent studio album. As you can see, this cost 20. I think this was from a shop up in Gateshead in the northeast called 586 Records. I believe I may have used them before on Discogs years ago. They do have a website, but it's not one where you can order from. You have to order online, at least on their Discogs section. But I got this because Stephen Morris plays drums on a lot of it, and even Gillian Gilbert features on one of the tracks alongside her husband. So there is another Other Two connection here. Now, I did have a Charlatans album up until recently. I passed that on to Martin Harris in some VCLT. A good greatest hits. If anything, it was kind of a bit too elaborate for me because it also included a live album that I was never overly bothered about hearing again, whereas I would have just been okay with the standard best of, really. And I may get it back in my collection if I find it cheap, but preferably just the head full of ideas, I think it is, that I sent to Martin. But it had a bonus live album and a signed print, and I know Martin loves his autographs, so you know, I thought I'll pass that on, let someone else have the enjoyment of it, and hopefully he'll enjoy the live bonus album more than I did. But I wanted this one because it has the New Order connection. There's your inner, and it's got lyrics on the back. Stephen Morris doesn't play on every track. I think their previous drummer, their regular drummer, had passed away prior to this album being recorded, so they were using various session drummers. I think the drummer who used to be in The Verve plays on 1 or 2 on this as well. And this is on a rather more cloudy, but still classed as clear vinyl there. Heavyweight 180 gram it feels like to me. Oh, feels like there might be a download card in there. Now with this being pre-owned, I don't know if that will actually work if you do try and use it. So I can't guarantee that you're going to get any joy from that code, but please feel free to try if you wish. £20 from 586 Records on Discogs, Different Days by the Charlatans.
We move into the night. Short walk today. Like we talk. High on the hill. Wild. We raise the bar now. Sure. We are unknowns, but we're never alone. 2, 3, 4, 5. Minutes have passed since our last dance. I've taken 2 more photographs. I would like to live this day over again. I never felt so sure but been so scared. Spend moments with someone who cared. Repeating everything you said over again and over again. Over again.
Now in this, I think is my prize pickup of the day, but it's the most dullest looking one because it is a 10-inch white label with handwritten white label at that. But what this is something very exciting, and I couldn't even find a clip of it on YouTube to play for you. But I am really excited about hearing it because it is New Order's Waiting for the Sirens Call Mega Mix. So the story behind this, and yes, it wasn't cheap, it was £45, but there isn't many of these in the world. There is actually a 12-inch version of this. It's the same track, same length, it's just in a 12-inch format, and there's one seller on Discogs at the time of me recording, and he's asking, I don't know, something daft like £150 for it. So for me to get the same thing just on a 10-inch format for 45 feels like a relative bargain. But the story behind the Sirens Call mashup, I called it Mega Mix earlier, but it's actually credited as Sirens Call mashup, is when Waiting for the Sirens Call, the album, came out. It had 3 singles from it, Crafty, Jetstream and the album's title track, and they were going to release, until it all kicked off between Barney and Hooky mainly, they were going to release, I think, Turn as the 4th and final single from the album, and a mashup of classic and more recent New Order tracks was meant to be one of the B-sides. So this was essentially intended as a B-side. It never got officially released and not many people have heard it, and it's a mashup of New Order stuff, an official thing, even though it doesn't look official at all, but this would have featured on an official New Order single had things gone a little bit differently. It's just a really interesting addition to the New Order collection, this. I'll put on screen a list of the tracks that are supposed to feature on this 10-inch single here, this mashup. I'm just going by what it says on the entry for this on Discogs, so if anything's incorrect or you can add to it or correct me in any way, then please feel free to, but I'm just going by the information that I have prior to actually playing this, because I've not heard this or anything else here today as of yet. But so happy that I finally pulled the trigger on this. Not cheap, wouldn't really like to pay that sort of money too often for a white label single, certainly, and it's single-sided, by the way. In fact, is there any grooves on the other side? No. A few finger marks on it, but you expect that. The white label 10-inch of the Waiting for the Sirens Call mashup. Right, final thing is a mail opening. This is an order from a Discogs seller in Germany. 2 12-inch singles in here. I think I got these from this German seller because they were just unavailable in the UK. The seller has wrapped it up in some German newspaper. God, it's like past the parcel. And yeah, he's separated them out, which a lot of sellers do. So first thing is this single from an act called Nyam Nyam, and the single is on the Factory Benelux label. It's Fate Hate, or Fate/Hate. The B-side, if I can find where to open it, 2 tracks on side B, So Long Ago and Fate Hate Dub. I do know this track, it's on 1, maybe 2 of the B-Music compilations that I own. Decent track. Nyam Nyam were a post-punk group from Hull, I think, over on the east side of this country. This was the only single they recorded for Factory Benelux. It's a B-Music production. I want to say it's a Hooky production, but I'm doubting myself now. But it's certainly B-Music production, that's why I bought it. Fate Hate from the weirdly named Nyam Nyam.
Remember you said friendship happened long ago. Would that be hate? And if your mind is filled with fear, is darkness come? Would that be hate? But in the distance you can hear the mystic drum. Would that be hate? And though the ancient doors might be denied, would that be hate? Whatever it is you don't know where to hide, would that be hate?
And then finally, another 12-inch single here from Shark Vegas. Now, this, I think, is the actual German release of this. This would have come out for UK or certain parts of Europe on the Benelux label, I believe, rather than UK Factory. But this one is out on the Totenkopf label, because this was the only one that I could get, but it's the exact same track. It's You Hurt Me, and Shark Vegas, this was produced by Bernard Sumner. One of the members of Shark Vegas was Mark Reeder. They were a German-based act, but Mark Reeder is an English guy who had emigrated to Germany, to Berlin specifically, many years ago. I've talked about him before because I showed his excellent album Mauerstadt on one of these update videos a couple of months or so back. A really good album that I highly recommended. There you go. That is the single itself. So Shark Vegas, kind of very short-lived. I think they did release 1 or 2 other things besides this, but this is the only one that was produced by anyone from New Order. Side A, You Hurt Me, and Side B, You Hurt Me for the First Time and You Hurt Me for the Last Time. So presumably they are remixes or dub versions or instrumental. Who knows? I'll know when I listen to it. Oh, it's got an old price sticker on it. That probably is a really old price sticker. That's probably got it in Deutschmarks, I bet. There we are. That's it for today. Shark Vegas and You Hurt Me completes part 11 of my New Order collection roundup. There we go. That's another one done and dusted. Thank you all for watching this New Order and related collection update video today. Really appreciate you sticking with me through another ultimately long one. Special thanks go to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. As I said at the start, I'm not going to speculate on if there'll be any more. I do think the well is running dry really now for New Order collection editions. There is still bits and bobs out there, I know, but they are few and far between now and very, very difficult to get hold of. But never say never is my motto here on YouTube. So I'm going to go now, tidy up all that German newspaper that's littering my floor now, and start listening to some of this good stuff. And I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next New Order related video and record and music collecting video. Cheers everyone. See ya!